Today on Commander Replay, we find out what happens when there are multiple Haunt of Hightowers in a game. Will Haunt of Hightower win, or will Haunt of Hightower win? Find out next on Commander Replay. Thank you to all of my awesome Patreon supporters. You guys are awesome. If you want to help support the channel and vote on which decks I play next, feel free to check out my Patreon at the link below. Today's video comes as voted on by Patreon supporters, with the Haunt of Hightower taking down 33% of the vote. Welcome back, everyone. Playing some Haunt of Hightower, and randomly there's 3 Haunt of Hightower decks in this game, so yeah. Take a look at our opening hand. All the mana rocks, but only this one land. That seems pretty suspect, so we're gonna mulligan that one. This is a little better. We still have a mana rock. We have 2 lands, though. We have Vampiric Tutor, so we can find card draw or lands if needed, and we've got some doubling with the Magas right there. So I think we'll go ahead and keep this one. So the middle Haunt of Hightower opponent starts with a Swamp and a turn 1 Soul Ring. That'll bring it to our turn 1. We draw a Swamp. Swamp's actually pretty good right there. Play the Swamp, play the Mana Vault, and we will pass turn like that. This should get pretty ridiculous. Well, we'll see what everyone else is running for super secret tech for the Haunt of Hightower. Should get a pretty good look at the deck one way or another. Yeah, so Demonic Tutor for the middle Haunt of Hightower opponent. I am joined by one Patreon supporter today, and that is Let's Play Deathray, also piloting a Haunt of Hightower deck. Off to a slightly slower start than the other 2 Haunts in that they have not produced a mana rock yet. Waste Not coming down for the middle Haunt of Hightower opponent. It seems pretty good. And then finally, we have a lone Riku of 2 Reflections at the table. Actually, a really good commander that doesn't show up that much anymore. I guess it is just a teeny bit slow at 5, and you need to untap with it. Which today's day and age can be quick, depending on how games play out. But you can basically double any game action with Riku. It's really insane. I actually have a paper Riku deck that's been like mostly pulled apart, so it's not really playable. But it was more or less the slowest thing imaginable. But if I get like 2 or 3 copies of things like Rampant Growth and Skyshroud Claim, and then I'd have like 20 lands and just, you know, find some big ETB creatures and just copy them many, many times, and that would do some work. Alright, so we draw into a Phyrexian Obliterator for our turn 2. We'll drop down a Swamp right here. I feel like the best bet's going to be holding out the Mana Vault for next turn to get our Haunt of Hightower into play. But it is a little bit tempting to go for the Magus of Coffers, though I think that's still premature. We could mess around with the Vampiric Tutor. Yeah, I think we just wait. I think we're doing the waiting thing right now. With 3 mono black opponents, there's got to be a ton of removal in this game. Yep, there's a Waste Not for the first Haunt of Hightower opponent. There's an Arterial Flow for the middle Haunt of Hightower opponent. So each opponent discards 2 cards. If you control a vampire, each opponent loses 2 life, and you gain 2 life. That's gonna hurt. The creatures are the easiest thing to get back, so that's probably the thing that we want to get rid of. Waste Not's gonna trigger many, many times. Eesh. Oh, right, there's 2 Waste Knots. Cool. So, middle opponent ends up with 3 zombie tokens. Looks like 3 mana, and goes up to 7 cards. First Haunt of Hightower has 2 zombie tokens and is at 5 cards. Gaia Reach Sanitarium for the Haunt of Hightower opponent. That's actually pretty good, especially with Waste Knots down. So, opponent's going to activate the Gaia Reach Sanitarium. Each player will draw a card, then discard a card. Let's see what we find. Could have Vampiric Tutored in response to that. We're drawn to a Decree of Pain. Yeah, I'm going to discard the Decree of Pain. It's a super sweet card, but it's so early. I mean, it's turn 3 right now. Like, it's going to take us so much mana to get to that point, and a bunch of stuff down with the Waste Knots. I don't know. I think it's fine. It's really expensive, and we have more big board wipes in the deck, so I think it'll be fine. It's just, we're just so far away from that. Though I guess on the other hand, maybe we could have gotten rid of Torment of Hailfire as well. Oop, there's an Animate Dead on a Cryptghast. That seems good. So Waste Not really doing some work. Getting rid of that Cryptghast would be a good idea. Maybe we should have kept the Decree even just to cycle it. Crap. Well, opponent doesn't have tons and tons of swamps yet, but they're still getting a lot of mana with things like Waste Not and Gaia Reach and all that. But I think our plan is just going to be to get our commander into play. And actually, I'm going to take this time to Vampiric Tutor. I'm going to get Necropotence so we can draw some extra cards. So Necropotence goes on top. It's going to bring it back to our turn. Play the Swamp. Let's get our commander in. That way, if opponents want to do more discarding and things like that, Haunt of Hightower is going to get huge, and we can swing in for some huge life totals. A little bit risky burning the Vampire Tutor right there and putting the Necropotence into our hand based on the amount of discard and potential wheels, stuff like that our opponents might be playing. But hopefully we don't get punished for it. Jet Medallion coming down for the first Haunt of Hightower opponent, and they've got an Animate Dead of their own. They're going to grab our Phyrexian Obliterator. Ugh. Well, we certainly don't want to be attacking in there on the ground. But the two things that we want to avoid right here are removal and anything that messes with our hand. If we can get back to our turn with Haunt of Hightower in play and cast this Necropotence, I'm feeling pretty good about how things should go. So that's going to be a Dark Ritual for the middle Haunt of Hightower opponent. And that goes to opponent's graveyard. That's going to trigger our Haunt of Hightower, so it's going to start to grow. Opponent's going to cast their own Haunt of Hightower. Okay. I feel good that we should be able to stay one counter ahead of their Haunt of Hightower, at least for a little while. Opponent going to play Tassiger's Cruelty. Each opponent discards 2 cards. Ugh. So we're definitely keeping the Necropotence. That's the thing that's going to help us draw out of this mess. So discard Torment, discard Vonas. Hopefully there's no more discard. Oh, that's a lot of triggers. That is so many triggers. Many Waste Not triggers, many Haunt of Hightower triggers. Our Haunt of Hightower ends up as a 9/9, and so does the middle opponents. Also, they're up to 10 cards in hand now. That's a bit scary. They're going to play a Mana Vault. Oh, we have to discard our Necropotence. Oh, that's rough. All right, that's going to hurt. Yeah, that's the thing we needed to keep right there. Waste Not really causing some problems. Yup. So now opponent's Haunt of Hightower is unfortunately larger than ours. Here comes a Grim Monolith. I mean, when we attack, it'll go. When we attack, it'll be a 12/12. Yeah, I don't like what that means. Oh, opponent's gonna Hero's Downfall on our commander. Wow. Yeah, Waste Not. Gross. Opponent's gonna fire off a Go for the Throat on the Cryptghast. That's a little bit too late. The damage has already been done. I mean, it's turn 4 in this game, so crazy Mana Rock start. Treasure Cruise for the Riku opponent. So they're going to get to draw some cards. A little bit of removal on that Haunt would be a pretty good idea. There's a Blasphemous Act. Ooh, Haunt survives. Ugh, that's not ideal. And opponent used the Blasphemous Act on a Phyrexian Obliterator, so that Obliterator is going to make him sack 13 permanents. So, this game's probably just about over. Big Haunt of Hightower in play. Riku's permanents are going to be gone. It's really going to be up to the first Haunt of Hightower opponent to get rid of the other one. And the game crashed. Well, I suspect that the middle Haunt of Hightower opponent was probably going to take that one. I mentioned our Patreon supporter. They said they did have a Price of Fame in their hand for the other Haunt of Hightower. So the game may not have been just over, but they were certainly ahead. Welcome back, everyone. Playing some more Haunt of Hightower. Take a look at our opening hand. 1 land, we're going to mulligan that. Into 2 lands, Mana Crypt. Yeah, that's a lot better. 2 lands, Mana Crypt with an Ambitions cost I really like. We do have Dose Haunt of Hightowers in this game. We'll go ahead and keep this one. So I am joined by 2 Patreon supporters this game. We have Tyrant of Ruin playing Teysa, Envoy of Ghosts. Interesting commander out of, what is that, Dragon's Maze? Doesn't show up all that much, though, but it does have Vigilance, Protection from Creatures, and whenever a creature deals combat damage, you destroy it, create a 1/1 white and black spirit creature token with flying. So, like, no mercy on steroids? Sign me up. Little pricey at 7 mana, but once it's in play, I'm sure we'll feel its impact. Next up, we have Let's Play Deathray, also piloting the Haunt of Hightower, so we're piloting the Haunt of Hightower ourselves. Should get a pretty good look at the commander this game. And finally, we have a non-Patreon opponent playing Hapatra, Vizier of Poisons. And we draw into Agreed on our first turn. Not too bad. No need to play the Mana Crypt just yet, so we'll lay down the Swamp and pass. Actually, never mind, we can play the Mind Crank on turn 1. Or the Dark Steel Plate. Lots of things to play. So we will turn off auto yields and try to catch this before our second main phase. So drop down the Mana Crypt. Gonna go for the Dark Steel Plate right here just for mana efficiency's sake. And we'll pass turn like that. Signet coming down for the Hapatra opponent. Sure. Bring back to our turn. Mana Crypt flip on us. We go tails. We lost the flip. We draw into a Thought Vessel. That'll be helpful. Play the Swamp. And we'll go for the Ambitions cost right here. Hopefully find at least 1 land in there. One of our opponents pointed out 4 black commanders in this game, so lots of black flying around the table. It means discard, removal, and just general nastiness. We actually drew into not a land. And, not another Waste Knot. We saw Waste Knot last game. Ugh. It did a lot of work. We drew into not a land, though we did catch this expedition map, which we may have to use to find a land. Hapatra coming into play for the Hapatra opponent. And gonna lay down some Land War Elves, sure. So back to our turn. Mana Crypt flip on us. I lost the flip again. Boom. There's that land off the top, though, so that is nice. Let's get our Thought Vessel down. Oh, we could have gone for the Magus right there. Though, without another swamp, Magus doesn't do, like, that much. So we've got 4 total mana left. I am thinking, let's go for Expedition Map. And then we'll crack Expedition Map at the end step, just to make sure that nothing wheels or discard doesn't happen from the other Haunt of Hightower opponent, since there was a pretty steady stream of that last game. Profane Procession coming down for the Teysa opponent. Yeah, that's a good one. It's a little bit slow, but once it gets going, it's pretty nasty. Exile any creature. Then if there are 3 or more cards exiled with it, transform it. So Haunt of Hightower opponent just going to tap out and pass. That's good news. Means that we probably won't be discarding. Now, everyone in this game is playing black, so I assume that an Urborg is going to come down at some point. So I'm definitely going to go for Cabal Coffers with the Expedition map right here. Opponent's going to crack an Evolving Wilds. Parallel Lives coming down for the Hapatra. Seems pretty good. And Hapatra going to swing our way. Yep. Just going to go ahead and take that. So Hapatra is going to trigger. They'll get to put a -1/-1 counter on a target creature. It is a May ability. I personally would not trade a Mana Dork for a Snake, but they can do what they wish. They do not. So, end step, we're going to crack this Expedition map, go get our Cabal Coffers. So, back to our turn, Mana Crypt flip, going Tails, won the flip finally. Vampiric Tutor, very nice. Play the Cabal Coffers. What are we playing right here? I think we have enough for our commander, don't we? Yeah, I think we just get Haunt down. That seems like a pretty good place to be. And we can leave up Vampiric Tutor. Sounds good. We will pass like that. I'm going to take a quick look at the deck list real quick, see if there's anything that, I don't remember what's in the deck super well. It's been a few weeks since I played it. Since we're kind of ahead right now, I want to see if there's something we can get that can really, like, put us in the lead. Myojin of Night's Reach is a card that does that. Do we have the mana for it? Not yet. Land off the top would give us the mana for it. Cabal Console of Allocation coming down for the Teysa. Yeah, seems good. Next turn, Cabal will have the mana to activate the Profane Procession if they want to. Sangromancer coming down for the Haunt of Hightower. Yep, that's another good one. That thing can gain a lot of life. So Myojin's going to be out of our reach right here. I mean, maybe even like Torment of Hailfire for like a few is not the worst. Or, I mean, we could just go for Hatred. That's a thing that we could do. The Teysa opponent said that we are not going to like their deck at all, so maybe we just take them out of the game. Maybe that's a thing that we do. So Grow from the Ashes for the Hapatra, and that's going to trigger the Cabal one time. Grim Affliction coming down. Let's see where this goes. Put a -1/-1 counter on target creature, then proliferate. Going to put that on the Cabal, and that'll trigger the Hapatra, which will trigger the Haunt of Hightower twice. So, ooh, Hapatra gets some snakes, and Cabal down to an 0/1. Hapatra going to swing into the Teysa opponent. So I think opponent minus our Haunt of Hightower one time. That's fine. Opponent gets another snake. Got 6 snakes. So end step, Vampiric Tutor. Cabal Console of Allocation will trigger. And I've already apologized to opponent in advance for this, but I'm going to get Hatred. So that's going to bring it back to our turn. Mana Crypt will trigger. We lost the flip again. Whew. Then we're going to swing into the Teysa opponent. Haunt of Hightower will trigger. Everyone's tapped out right now, so I'm not expecting any issues here. So opponent discards a card based on the Haunt of Hightower ability. That does trigger the Sangromancer, so Sangromancer going to get some life. Also triggers the Waste Knot. So then we're going to cast the Hatred for X18. We go down to 2. And get opponent for 23 commander and go back to 25 life. So opponent did say they were playing a very nasty deck, which my main issue right now is that I actually just don't have a lot of time to film this game. So I apologize in advance for that little play right there. Sorry, opponent. That was nasty. That was a party foul by me, for sure. 100%. Opponent says he was playing Board Wipe Tribal, so... And Tumor Exarch coming into play, and target opponent can reveal our hand, choose a non-creature card from it, and make us discard that card. Eee. Well, I was planning to use the Toxic Deluge to kill the snakes and pump the Haunt, but that may not happen. Yep, opponent grabs the Toxic Deluge, so down that goes. Would like to get some life gain going. If we can get the Haunt pumped up just a little bit more, that would be the most ideal. Probably could have tapped my lands just slightly differently to get the Dark Steel Plate attached last turn. Yeah, I feel much less safer without that Toxic Deluge right there. Ooh. So the Teysa opponent said that they had Swords and Path in hand, got greedy, and should have left mana open. Yep. But it was also, what was that? That was like a turn 5 or 6 player kill. Like, that's pretty early to expect that sort of stuff. So, you know, can't fault them completely. Nest of Scarabs. Whenever one or more minus counters are put on a creature, create that many 1/1 black insect creature tokens. Yeah, I really wish I had that Toxic Deluge still. That would have been nice. Would have been really nice. Opponent gonna send everything our way? Only the Hapatra. Interesting. I would have sent all the tokens. Or at least most of them. So no blocks from us. Hapatra's gonna hit. Opponent's gonna minus our Haunt of Hightower. And that'll trigger the Nest of Scarabs. So opponent gets some more tokens. It's gonna bring it back to our turn. Mana Crypt's gonna flip. Mana Crypt flip on us. Let's go, Tails. Lost the flip. Down to 20. Reliquary Tower. Play the Reliquary Tower. How much mana do we have? 8 mana by my count. We could go Greed for a bunch. It's risky, though. There's a lot of tokens in play. Mind Crank seems reasonable. We don't have a creature to get back with Shieldred, which is not the best. How many tokens are there? That's 6, 8, 10, 12. Ooh. I think the play is going to be Mind Crank and Greed. Play Greed. Do we sit back? I think we sit back. Yeah, I think we sit back. Do we play the Dark Steel Plate? Yeah, we should play the Dark Steel Plate. We can greed on our main phase next turn. Yeah, as much as I really want to attack, I don't think it makes sense to right here. Ooh, nice. Arterial Flow from our opponent. That will discard our last 2 cards, which is a little bit annoying. But we have this Greed, and that should trigger the Mind Crank. So that's going to start pumping up our Haunt of Hightower. So a bunch of triggers going on the stack. We got some Sangromance triggers. We got some Waste Not triggers. We got some Haunt of Hightower triggers and a Mind Crank trigger. Opponent said it is a budget Hapatra build. So Mind Crank gets our opponent for a little bit, and that puts a few extra counters on the Haunt of Hightower. It's now a 9/9. And opponent's going to get more zombies off of the Waste Not. So if nothing... Oh, man, they're up to 60. And a Mind Crank of their own. Oh, boy. Oh, boy. First one to Rise of the Dark Realms will probably win. There's a Viridian Corruptor that can destroy target artifact. Let's see what they go for. The plate itself is indestructible. So they're going to target the plate. Yep, that's not going to work. It itself is indestructible. Hammer of Nazan is not. Hammer of Nazan gives the creature indestructible, but it itself is not indestructible. So that trigger fizzles. And a Vidalcan Orrery from our opponent. Pretty good one, except they have no cards in hand, so that might be a little bit of an issue for them. The thing is right here that they do not have any flying blockers, so we can come in the air pretty big next turn, and we're probably gonna get a little greedy with this Greed. Ooh, opponent's gonna attack. Saucy. This is actually gonna be really good because now we're gonna gain a ton of life off of the lifelink. So this is not a good attack from our opponent right here. Now, even if they're sending everything, I don't think sending everything really does all that much. So we go back up to 27, which is a much safer life total. And now I'm just going to go wild with Greed. We have 2 no max hand size cards out, so yeah, going to be off to the races. Back to our turn, Mana Crypt flip. I've talked about this in other videos. Having lifelink on your commander in mono black is a really big deal. Lost the flip. That's going to trigger Mind Crank for our opponent. So we'll mill a few cards. We draw a Grave Titan. We do miss a Grim Tutor in there, but also lose a few lands. Certainly did not need the lands. Grave Titan gives us blockers, if nothing else. But yeah, I think we're going to get down to the Greed. I'm going to use the Cabal Coffers early, which, I don't know. Hopefully that doesn't bite us. So, Greed one time. Mind Crank triggers. Oh, this is going to get weird. We draw a Swamp. Well, already punished. Play the Swamp. Greed again. Mind Crank triggers. Draw a land. Greed again. Fire Shrieker is a card. Oh, man. So, if we put Fire Shrieker... Well, I guess opponent doesn't have a card to discard. So, how do we get 2 cards into our opponent's graveyard? That's the question. But that answer probably starts with Greed one more time. Oh! No, I know what we can do. Because when we hit, Mind Crank will trigger, and then the other Mind Crank will trigger. Yeah, we got it. All right. So we can take the Hapatra opponent out of the game right here. So, think we're going to go ahead and do that. Play the Fire Shrieker. Equip the Fire Shrieker into the Hapatra opponent. So Haunt of Hightower now at 27-27, and opponent goes to 36 commander damage. So Hapatra out of the game, and we go up to a healthy 52 life. We're still weak to some stuff. Mono Black still has answers to what we have in play currently. A single Fleshbag Marauder would get rid of our Haunt, and it would then be a slow rebuilding process for us. Opponent going to swing with everything they've got, token-wise, and leave the Sangromancer back. Yep, going to be a battle of the high life totals right here. 60 versus 52, although ours is about to drop down just a little bit. So we go down to 44, and Mindcrank's going to trigger a bunch of times. We're going to be losing more cards. Down to 58 cards in the library. It's going to bring it back to our turn. Mana Crypt flip. Would like to win this flip. Lost the flip again. Whew! What did we, like, 1 for 6? Something like that. We catch Swamp. Play the Swamp. Do we need to greed right here? I want to be careful that we don't mill ourselves out, honestly. I do think, though, that we're going to play this Grave Titan. So, cast the Grave Titan, get some zombies, and now we've got blockers, and blockers are very nice. Play the boots, equip the boots, attack with both. Grave Titan will trigger, Haunt of Hightower will trigger. So we get some 2/2 blocking zombies. I like that very much. Opponent discards a Noxious Gear Hulk. That not super helpful when things are indestructible. Yep, opponent gonna block with the Sangromancers, just as we expected. We gain some life back. We go back up to 69. So Mindcrank triggers off of the Grave Titan hit, and opponent mills 6 more. And Haunt of Hightower up to a nice 35-35. Then I'm going to move the boots over to the Haunt of Hightower. We really need to keep that one in play. Grave Titan's very nice, and I would like to keep it protected, but Haunt of Hightower, the most important thing that we have going on right now. And then we'll greed on the end step. Opponent saying GG. Well, maybe not yet. Opponent's got a flying blocker. It's going to take a little while. Fell Spectre. Enters battlefield. Target opponent discards card. Whenever an opponent discards card, that player loses 2 life, so the Mindcrank's also going to get us. Discard the Strip Mine. Waste Not will trigger. Opponent digging. Opponent going digging. Mindcrank triggers. Opponent gets a little extra mana. Opponent going to cast their commander. Oh, yeah. Yeah, that's a pretty good one, right? Opponent now has 2 flying blockers. And we'll need to be a little bit careful, especially since opponent has their own Mindcrank down. We'll greed one time right here. Hope we catch something nice. Yep, all the Haunt of Hightower triggers go off. Torment of Hellfire is a card. It's going to bring it back to our turn. We'll go Tails. We lost the flip again. Mindcrank will continue to trigger, down to 46 cards in the library. Dread will reshuffle back in. We draw a Swamp, play the Swamp. Just going to go as big as we can on this Torment of Hellfire, and hope it gets rid of the flying blockers. Opponent has 3 cards in hand. Opponent has a lot of life, though, so they can just, like, eat the life. Here comes the Torment of Hellfire, X12. Opponent discarding some cards. Opponent eats a lot of life, but they're going to get hit with Mindcrank a bunch. Opponent goes down to 24 life. They discard some of their hand, but still at 24 after a Torment for X12 is pretty good. It's pretty good, all things considered. Let's see what's left of their library, though, after these Mindcrank triggers. Oh, they hit a Kozilek, so quite a bit of their library should be left over. They hit Kozilek again. Haunt of Hightower up to a cool 67-67. Opponent only has 1 card in hand. Do I think they can kill us? Actually, I'm going to sit back just on the off chance that opponent has like a hatred or something of their own. Oh, that's a Mesmeric Orb. Oh, that's going to be rough. Oh, opponent. We may get milled. Mesmeric Orb's going to trigger. Ingarrick's Wake is already in the graveyard. Rise of the Dark Realms in the graveyard. Oh, man. Plague Wind? Plague Wind's the card I want to see. Mana Crypt, go heads, won the flip. I think it's been heads. We've been going tails like every time, and that has not been paying off. Play the Swamp. I think we need a greed. Mindcrank triggers. Oh, Naginata would have did it. We draw a Swamp. Greed again. Buried Ruin is potentially a card. Yeah, so we can go Buried Ruin for Naginata next turn. That works. So we'll pass like that. Raider's Wake. Whenever opponent discards a card, that player loses 2 life. Raid. At the beginning of your end step, if you attack with a creature, target opponent discards a card. Awesome. Opponent gonna attack with an Entomber Exarch. Block the Entomber Exarch. Go up to 126 life. Raider's Wake will trigger. Discard the Swamp. Bunch of triggers go on the stack. Mindcrank triggers. More Mindcrank triggers. More Haunt triggers. A Waste Not trigger. Oh, man. Opponent gets some extra mana. Brings it back to our turn. Mesmeric Orb triggers. Haunt of Hightower triggers. Mana Crypt triggers. Win this one? Won the flip. All right. This should hopefully do it. Play Buried Ruin. crack the Buried Ruin, get Onaganata. Onaganata back to our hand, play the Onaganata. Equip it to our commander. Our commander will now have trample, and this should hopefully do it. 7269, double strike, haste, hexproof, indestructible, trample, flying, and lifelink. It's a lot of abilities. So opponent will discard a card. Opponent gonna try blocking. Last ditch effort. And we'll still get through for 39 commander damage. Boom! Down they go. So getting there in game 2 with Haunt of Hightower. So these two matches were interesting because we got to take a look at other people's Haunt of Hightower decks. A lot of people using Arterial Flow. I need to see it more. I'm not sure how I feel about it. Like, discarding 2 cards, it's a thing. Like, that can hurt opponents reasonably bad, especially if they don't have many cards left. The problem is that it doesn't necessarily change the board state that much. I think the big things are you want Waste Not to be in play if that's a thing that you're doing. Actually, a card I need to add to this deck. Somehow I don't have Waste Not in here. But yeah, we saw it doing tons and tons of work for our opponents. I decided not to focus like so much on like a bunch of little discard. I'd prefer to go just for like one big discard with Myojin and Night's Reach. And that was just kind of how I chose to focus the deck. I could probably get there, but... So yeah, I would need to see it more times. The more heavy discard versions with Waste Not versus kind of this more... Ours is a little bit more controlling, kind of just, you know, mono black good stuff deck. We have a lot of one-sided board wipes in Plague Wind, in Garrick's Wake, and Toxic Deluge, which will essentially become one-sided once the Haunt of Hightower grows a little bit. So that's kind of where I decided to focus the deck a little bit. Also things like Plague Crafter, Fleshbag, Marauder, that sort of stuff. Really good for taking out opponents' creatures and growing our commander. So yeah, we got to take a look at a few different deck lists of the Haunt of Hightower. We got messed up pretty badly by an explosive start in the first one, and didn't do too bad here in the second one. Oh yeah, I forgot about that. We definitely did cheese a little bit with the Hatred play, but opponents said they were playing Board Wipe Tribal, and I was on a little bit of a time constraint to film this game, so didn't have all night to film. Had to do that just to get him out of the game and make the game not take 3 hours, so yeah. But I did apologize to them. Anyway, hope you guys enjoyed these 2 games with Haunt of Hightower. As always, feel free to comment, like, or subscribe. Thank you for watching.